The salary cap isn't a suggestion. It's a death sentence for teams that lack the courage to say no to a superstar who hasn't yet learned that the star on the helmet carries more weight than the name on the back of the jersey. When I see George Pickens coming off a career year and immediately pivoting to talk about the ultimate best deal, I don't see a player looking for a partnership. I see a player who knows he has Jerry Jones over a barrel, and quite frankly, that terrifies me for the future of this organization. I'm Carlos Eduardo, the lead analyst for the Dallas Cowboys, and we need to have a serious, unfiltered conversation about the financial cliff America's team is currently sprinting toward. From my perspective, the sheer talent of George Pickens is undeniable. He is a vertical nightmare who tracks the ball better than almost anyone I've seen since Dez Bryant was in his prime, but talent, without tactical discipline, is how you end up 12-5 and out in the first round. What I see on the film is a receiver who can snag a ball out of the atmosphere at AT&TStadium, but I also see a guy who has yet to prove he can handle the heavy mental load of being a leader in this locker room. When he tells the media he wants a deal that helps everybody, my years covering this franchise tell me he's really saying he wants a historic guarantee that makes him the highest paid asset on the field. If I'm being honest with Cowboys fans, we cannot afford to give George Pickens a blank check when we still haven't figured out how to pay Micah Parsons his true worth or fix an offensive line that gets confused by simple stunts the moment the pressure turns up. Look at the landscape of Jerry World right now. We are operating in an era where the bright lights of AT&T Stadium are blinding us to the reality of roster construction. I remember the 90s dynasty. I remember watching Michael Irvin demand excellence from every person in that huddle. The playmaker didn't just want the best deal. He wanted the ring, and he was willing to bleed for it every single Sunday. When I listen to Pickens talk about chilling while his agent handles the numbers, it makes me wonder if the hunger for a championship is being eclipsed by the hunger for a luxury lifestyle. From my analysis, the Cowboys are at a crossroads. We already have massive salary commitments to Dak Prescott, who is playing on a contract that essentially eats up the oxygen in the room. If we add a market-resetting contract for Pickens, how do we afford the gap discipline on defense? How do we sign the gritty veterans who actually win you games in December? What I see on the film is a player who thrives on the money downs, those third and long situations where Dak just throws it into a tight window, and Pickens uses that elite clutch factor to bail us out. But a championship team isn't built on bailouts, it's built on sustainability. The Cowboys' front office, led by Jerry and Steven, has a history of falling in love with the flash. They fell in love with Zeke's production and paid for it for years. They fell in love with the idea of a triple threat, and sometimes forgot that football is won in the trenches. If I'm in that war room, I'm arguing that we need to use the franchise tag as a leverage tool, not a fallback. We need to see if George Pickens can provide that same Pro Bowl production when he's the primary focus of every defensive coordinator in the NFC East. The rivalry context here is massive. The Eagles are watching us. The Commanders are ascending. If we tie up our future in a receiver who occasionally struggles with sideline discipline, we are handing the keys to the division to our rivals. I've walked the halls of the Star, and I can tell you that the atmosphere changes the moment contract talk becomes public. There is a tension that seeps into the practice field. When a player talks about the ultimate best deal, the guys grinding it out on league minimum contracts are listening. If Pickens gets his way without a commitment to being the most disciplined player on the team, the locker room chemistry that took years to build could evaporate in a single training camp. I've analyzed the salary cap strategy of this team for decades, and the 2026 offseason is the most dangerous one yet. We are looking at a potential market where top-tier receivers are asking for $30 million plus a year. For a team that prides itself on being America's team, we have to ask, are we building a circus or a dynasty? If I'm being blunt, George Pickens hasn't earned the right to dictate terms to the Dallas Cowboys. He's had one great year. The legends like Staubach, Smith, and Eichmann earned their leverage through jewelry Super Bowl rings. Until Pickens hoists a trophy over his head at the end of February, he should be focused on how he can improve his route running on intermediate patterns, not how many zeros are on his next check. From my perspective, the ultimate best deal is one that protects the Cowboys' ability to pivot. We need flexibility. We need the ability to bring in a veteran tackle or a run-stuffing defensive end when the injury bug inevitably hits. If we lock ourselves into a top-heavy contract for a wide receiver, we are repeating the mistakes of the past 20 years. I've watched this film 1,000 times. The Cowboys have a star-studded roster. They look unbeatable in October, and then they crumble in January because they don't have the depth to survive a physical war. That depth costs money. Money that George Pickens currently wants for himself. I see the talent. I see the it factor. When Pickens is laughing on the sidelines before a game against the Falcons, you see a young man enjoying the peak of his powers. But I want to see the man who is frustrated when he misses a block. I want to see the man who takes responsibility when a route is broken. That is the player you pay. That is the player who deserves to represent the star. If I'm being honest, I haven't seen enough of that guy yet. I've seen the highlight reels, but I haven't seen the triple threat soul. Let's talk about the pressure of playing under the bright lights of Arlington. Every drop is a headline. Every contract negotiation is a soap opera. Pickens says he can't control it, but that's a veteran move to avoid accountability. He controls his effort. He controls his attitude. If he wants the best deal, he needs to show Jerry Jones that he is the cornerstone of a championship culture. Right now, he's a brilliant individual performer on a team that is desperate for a cohesive identity. My analysis is that the Cowboys should push for a deal that is heavy on incentives. Show us you can do it again, show us you can stay disciplined, and then we'll talk about the legacy-defining money. The NFC East is a gauntlet. You don't win this division by having the most expensive players. You win it by having the toughest ones. When we go into Philly or face a rejuvenated Giants squad, we need players who are obsessed with the process, not the paycheck. If George Pickens is looking for the ultimate best deal, he should be looking at how he can make Dak Prescott's life easier. He should be the first one in the building and the last one to leave. I want to see that 90s level obsession. I want to see the ghost of Tom Landry nodding in approval at the way this team carries itself. If I'm being real with you, I'm tired of the almost years. I'm tired of the Cowboys being the most valuable franchise in the world, but having a trophy case that's been gathering dust since 1996. Every decision we make right now, including this Pickens contract, has to be a Super Bowl or bust decision. If paying him prevents us from building a defense that can stop a nosebleed in the fourth quarter, then we have to be prepared to walk away or use the tag. We cannot be held hostage by the curiosity gap of what he might become. We need to pay for what he is, a high-upside receiver who still needs to prove he can be the heartbeat of a champion. I've spent my life covered in the silver and blue. I've seen the highs of the Super Bowl parades and the lows of the 5-11 seasons. What I know for sure is that the star on the helmet is the most powerful brand in sports, and it should never be used as a bargaining chip by a player who hasn't delivered a title. George Pickens has the potential to be one of the greatest to ever wear the uniform, but potential doesn't win rings. Discipline wins rings, strategy wins rings, gap discipline on the field, and financial discipline in the front office win rings. As we move into this offseason, I'll be keeping a close eye on the negotiations. I'll be watching the body language. I'll be analyzing every quote that comes out of the star, because at the end of the day, we aren't just fans. We are the guardians of a legacy. We are America's team, and we deserve a roster that reflects the excellence of our history. If George Pickens wants to be a part of that, he needs to understand that the ultimate best deal is the one that ends with him holding a Lombardi trophy on a podium in front of millions of people. Anything less is just noise. I've looked at the play calling from this past season, and it's clear that Pickens is the engine of the explosive play. But an engine is useless if the car doesn't have tires, a transmission, or a driver. We need to invest in the whole machine. Jerry Jones has a chance here to set a new standard, to show the league that the Cowboys aren't just about big names and big checks, but about building a winning culture from the ground up. I'm skeptical given our history, but I'm hopeful. I want to see that clutch factor translate into a deep playoff run. I want to see the Cowboys dominate the money downs not just because of raw talent, but because of superior preparation. From my perspective, the narrative is already shifting. The media is painting Pickens as the victim of a tight cap. But the truth is he's a young man with more leverage than he knows what to do with. If I'm in his ear, I'm telling him to focus on the film. Focus on the nuances of the game that turn a great receiver into a legend. If he does that, the money will follow. But if he focuses on the money first, he might find that the bright lights of Dallas can burn you just as easily as they can make you a star. We are chasing that sixth ring. That is the only goal that matters. Every tweet, every interview, every contract structured at the star must serve that goal. If George Pickens is truly willing to do anything for the team, then let's see it in the contract structure. Let's see a deal that allows us to stay competitive in a brutal NFC East. Let's see a commitment to the pursuit of excellence that matches the history of the legends who came before him. I'm Carlos Eduardo, and I'll be right here, filtering the noise and giving you the blunt truth about the state of our franchise. Because the star deserves nothing less than our absolute best. I've seen enough of the business of football to know that mutual interest is often a polite way of saying we're miles apart on the numbers. The coming weeks will reveal the true character of both George Pickens and the Cowboys front office. Will they prioritize the star, or will they prioritize the deal? In my experience, when you prioritize the star, the deals tend to take care of themselves. When you prioritize the deal, you often end up losing the star. I want to see a Dallas Cowboys team that is feared again not for its bank account, but for its ferocity on the field. That starts with making the right moves right now. The tactical observation I've made from the last few seasons is that we lack a certain nasty edge on the perimeter. Pickens has that edge, but it needs to be channeled. It needs to be directed at the Eagles' secondary, not at his own coaches. If Jerry can find a way to pay him while also demanding a higher level of professional conduct, then we might actually have something special. But if this is just another pay the man and hope for the best scenario, we are destined to repeat the failures of the last 30 years. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I'm here to tell you that the soul of the Dallas Cowboys is on the line in these negotiations. If I'm being honest, I'm tired of seeing other teams in our division celebrate while we talk about cap scenarios. I want to talk about parades. I want to talk about the Triple Threat 2.0. I want to talk about George Pickens being the MVP of a Super Bowl. That is the vision. That is the dream. But to get there, we need more than just the ultimate best deal. We need the ultimate commitment to winning. The pursuit of the next Super Bowl ring isn't a part-time job. It's an obsession. And if you aren't obsessed with the star, then you're just taking up space in Jerry World. I'll be watching the film. I'll be monitoring the cap. And I'll be waiting for the moment when this team finally decides that enough is enough. That the quest for the ring is more important than the quest for the next big headline. George Pickens has the floor. Let's see what he does with it. Let's see if he's a Cowboy for life, or just a Cowboy for a paycheck. The legacy of America's team is waiting.